Hi, my name is Dave and I am Military Doll Armour. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be building AFV Clubs Sd.Kfz 251/11 Pakwagen, kit number 35085. I was quite looking forward to this build. The Sd.Kfz 251 is one of my favourite German AFVs. I've done a review on the kit, which is linked in the top right and in the description. I've built a few before, but never an AFV Club kit, mainly Dragon and a couple of Tamiya kits. I was pleasantly surprised by the lower hull design. It was quite different to the Dragon and Tamiya kits I've built before. The plastic was quite thick with large connection tabs to the sprues and needed quite a bit of clean up to get a nice clean fit on the joints for the lower hull. I got the lower hull together and the internal floor glued in, and I was quite happy with the fit. Next I started work on the front axle assembly. I dry fitted the parts to make sure they fitted well, but they were a bit tight, so some cleanup was needed. Once I'd cleaned up the parts, I did the dry fit again and I was happy, so I glued them together. After finishing the front axle, I moved on to the running gear. Lots of parts to clean up, but the detail's good. The bump stops were a tight fit and I had to be careful with the torsion bars as there were two different types, but overall it all went together well. After I'd finished the torsion bars, I started working on the interior detail, which was all very easy, and I was pleased with the level of detail, although you won't see much of it on completion. When I got to the gun mount, there was a major fit issue. The cross member wouldn't go in without pushing the two sides out, so I tried the normal cleanup and it still wouldn't work. So I checked to make sure I had the right part, which I did, and I ended up cutting the tabs away and trimming down the part so it would fit. I was going to continue building the gun and paint it at the same time as the interior, but with this fit issue I decided to test fit the upper hull to the lower hull. There was a 2mm gap at the rear between the top hull and the rear door, which was not really what I wanted. So I checked all of my joints on the internal parts and they're all good. There were no big gaps or anything. So I got my thinking cap on and tried to solve the problem. I could always fill the gap with styrene, some styrene sheet, and then cover up any nastiness with a tarpaulin or camouflage net. I decided to start trimming back the top hull on the vertical parts to try and move the hull back from the front. I did this on the part where the front plate meets the chassis and then where the armour plate goes up towards the windscreen. I managed to get the gap down a little bit and I was a little bit more happy with the situation. I carried on working on the problem and just kept on sanding back the sides and also the vertical parts like I mentioned before by the windscreen and where the front plate meets, and I managed to get the gap right down. So happy with the situation, I decided to paint the interior, paint and weather. I didn't film this part because I wasn't sure if I was going to continue with the kit or not. After I'd finished the interior painting and weathering, I decided to get the two halves together. It was still a bit of an issue with the fit, but I carried on taking material off, and in the end I managed to get the two halves together, and I was pretty much happy with the situation. It wasn't perfect, but you couldn't really tell unless you looked. Here are some stills of the progress so far. Happy with the progress and the way the hull had come together, I decided to start work on the main gun, the Pak 40. I was quite pleased that the kit actually came with the photo etch gun shields. It was quite a nice touch, a lot better than the plastic ones you get in most kits. It also came with a metal gun barrel, which was a nice touch, and a nicely moulded plastic muzzle. I started the assembly with a breech. I started the assembly with a breech construction. Once that was completed, I mounted the aluminium gun barrel to the breech using BMS 5K slowmo super glue. Once that had gone off, I started to attach the gun slide to the bottom of the gun itself. This was a little bit warped and I had to get it to fit into the breech itself and then mount it onto the barrel because it was, like I said, a little bit warped. Also, the connection points weren't very deep, or they weren't very good on the breech for where the slide goes to, but it turned out okay. I slowly made progress working through the instructions. Next up was the actual mount for the slide of the gun. That was also a little bit warped and needed a lot of work done to it to straighten it out. After that was mounted, I moved on to the sides of the gun that mount it to the actual shield itself. They were straightforward, no problems there. The only major problem I had was with the mounting of the two halves of the gun shield. There were 12 plastic rivets that sit in the back piece and then the top piece sits on top of it. They were pretty fiddly to do, but it did work out okay in the end. It looked really, really good. And also you've got two sliding plastic doors for where the sight goes through. They can be open or closed, but yeah, that's the only bit that caused me any problems. I didn't film the construction of the gun shield because it was quite fiddly and my hands would have got in the way of the camera, but it was, like I say, it was quite easy. It was quite daunting at the start, but it did work out okay. And also it mounted to the actual plastic of the gun itself quite easily. Here are some stills of the progress on the gun and also the small rivets that are used to separate the two photo etch gun shields. And finally some stills of the finished kit in primer. My next video will be of the painting and weathering of this kit, finishing it off. I'll be doing it in a 3-tone camo. I may also do an after build review, as there's quite a few issues with this kit. I have another one of these kits, but it's just an Sd.Kfz 251, the troop carrier one, the early version. So I might have a look at that and build that to see if the problems are with the kit or with the way I built it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I've enjoyed making it. Please feel free to leave a comment or a like. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll see you in the next video.